Hey, this is Dani, you and me living free. My last video shared how I have totaled my minivan that I had traveled around the country in for a year and a half. It was totaled. You could hear the whole story on that last video. And it was very emotional and everything, but it was months ago. And I'm trying to take the next steps now and decide fully what is next. How am I going to move forward? I took some time and honestly grieved the loss of the van. I mourned. It was a feeling of grief. It was mourning. It was very kind of it was a very sad time. In perspective, of life, a life that is full and wonderful, but it doesn't change the fact that it was very hard to lose my van, that my van definitely not only symbolized, but was totally and almost completely my vehicle, if you will, of freedom. And freedom is a very strong value of mine. I value my freedom a great, great deal. And I know a lot of you out there can relate to that. So when my van was totaled, it was like every time I would look at my van, even though I was working a regular job. So for anybody who doesn't know, who hasn't been following me long or just stumbled on the channel, I did travel for about a year and a half in my van. That was spring 2021 to fall of 2022. And so for about a year and a half, I went back and forth from Kansas City out on the road for 6, 8, 10 weeks at a time on trips to the Pacific Northwest, out west, the Southwest, Southeast, everywhere but the Northeast, basically. Everywhere but the Northeast. Too many people for me, and not enough free camping and too many people. But that's just me. If I had another, couple of years out on the road, I might eventually get there. I know there are beautiful things out there and everything, but I'm in love with the Southwest in particular. I loved the Pacific Northeast as well, even though I never thought I would. But those are stories for different days. What we're talking about today is so if you haven't been with me, I did that for a year and a half. Then I came back. For the last almost 2 years, I have been working locally at a job, but I do have 6 weeks a year vacation. So I still have some time to work in some trips if I choose to, and when I still had the van. But since I don't have the van anymore, it's a very big transitional time. So of course I would ask myself the question, is this the end of van life? But what I discovered is a resounding no. A really resounding no. When I was out on the road for a year and a half back and forth, I had so much time. I wasn't working or anything. I was just making YouTube videos and living life. I had never done that, never taken time off work, never had that kind of opportunity before. And when I did, it gave me a chance, because call it a midlife crisis, call it a midlife awakening, whatever you want. I was at that point. I was 52, I think, when I did it. I'm 55 now. Anyway, 52, 53. And it was after COVID. A lot of people were asking these existential questions about what's it all for? Why am I here? What does it all mean? A lot of those things, and rethinking our priorities and our values and things. And I had so much time to think, and I was like, if I could do anything, what would I do? And when I was out on the road, I really was like, if I could do anything in the world, I would do this. That's what I would do. And so even when the van crashed, I really, in my heart, still knew that it was not going to be the end of van life, that this is ultimately what I really want to do. And I want to have more and more freedom to do it more and more. But I also live in the United States of America, which is a wonderful country, but it's also a capitalist society. I need to do work to earn money to survive and for the things that I need, just like everybody else, right? Well, almost everybody else, right? You know, most of us do. But this right now is definitely not the end of van life for me. But the thing that's so frustrating is that resources are limited. My time off work is limited and my money is limited, right? But I am comfortable sharing this because my main goal in having a channel is kind of like, oh, if I can do it, a lot of other people can do it too. And they'll see my example and they'll say, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And they'll also possibly feel uplifted and encouraged that it doesn't take that much. But if the desire is in you, if you have a strong desire to pursue this, I just want to encourage everyone who has it to do it in one form or another, because I don't know what your faith, your belief system is or anything, but I will say that if you have a strong desire in your heart, it is not there for nothing. It's not there for nothing. It's not there by chance. It's not there for no purpose. So let it pull you forward. And let it inspire you into what you can do. So, okay, resources are limited in one way or another for all of us. I have health right now. I do not have an abundance of money, and I do not have an abundance of time. Those are some big ones, right? For as long as we look at what we're capable of doing. So, I don't have the money to buy a van unless I would sell my car. I have a 2011 Toyota Camry that I'm sitting in right now. And if I sold the Camry, I could take this money and buy another minivan. I haven't looked at what that would look like or what kind of a minivan I could get. I would love to have another Toyota if I was going to do a minivan, or a Honda perhaps, but probably Toyota. Honda minivan and Toyota minivan are very, very, very similar. You get an extra inch of clearance on the Toyota, ground clearance that is. And I'm telling you, I have used that inch many, many times. I have often wanted a lift kit. Eventually, I do want like a cargo van or something that is, eventually, I want to have something that is elevated, that has a high clearance, that is 4-wheel or all-wheel drive, and that I can stand up in. That is the ultimate goal. But that goal is going to be down the road quite a ways, probably in time or in circumstances that need to change before I would be able to afford that. And that's okay, because that's the ultimate goal. But my goal for now is, what can I do with what I have now to create the most freedom, the most joy, the most, really the most sense of freedom, the most travel that I could do. I'm already like so consumed with thinking about RTR this year. This would be my 4th year in a row if I get to go. But that's a big question in the air of, will I be able to go? It doesn't look like I'll be able to go unless I do one of two things. I've narrowed down my options to 2 things. Number 1, I sell my car and buy a van with the proceeds. I have a little bit of money saved to buy a van, but not near enough, a little over $1,000 or so. So I would put that, I would probably keep that as a savings. I would probably not use that to put on top of this and leave myself without more savings. So that's another thing van life teaches you, is you better have a backup. You better have some backup savings if at all possible, and a backup plan and everything. Anyway, I think I need to do a video on everything I learned from that year and a half of travel, about life, like an existential video and then like a real life, like practical information video, because there's a lot of both that I learned. Anyway, that's a video for a different day. Today we're talking about what I can do. What can I do right now? I could sell my car and get a van, but that leaves me feeling unsafe. And it leaves me feeling unsafe because I've had this car a very long time, and I know that something could break tomorrow and my transmission or my engine or something like that could be gone tomorrow. I know that. But my mom had this car before me, and then I've had this car for almost its entire life. And I know at least when my mom had it, it was cared for so well. It lived in a garage its whole life. It was just like so meticulously taken care of. I have had every maintenance and everything that needs to be done to it. So I've taken really good care of it. I have a lot of trust in this vehicle that if I bought one, I just wouldn't have that level of trust built up. It may be all in my head, but it's still, I know you can get Carfax. I know you can see maintenance records. I know I can have a mechanic check it out. I'm just saying my mental state, it would make me, I've always thought that I would have this Camry forever, because whatever someone is going to give me in cash is not going to be the value of this Camry to me. This Camry means a lot to me personally. And maybe I just need to get over this attachment to this, material thing or whatever. And I had it to my van as well. And maybe I'll have it to the next thing, but it doesn't feel like the right thing right now. But as I'm talking it out to you, I'm kind of feeling like, excuse me. I'm feeling like maybe more of that is in my head, and maybe I could sell the car and get a van. But we'll table that for a moment. If I don't want to get rid of this vehicle, then could I car camp? And not to go out for months at a time, but while I am working and have a weekend here, a long weekend here, maybe 2 weeks in January to go to the RTR, I would have to, if I were going to be able to car camp, it would be just until I had enough money saved for a van, but that's probably going to be another 2 years, a couple of years of working and trying to save extra money. And I don't know, it might be a year, it might be 2 years, it might be 3 years. Do I want to wait that long to travel? No. Can I afford traditional travel? No, not if I'm saving my money for a van. I can't afford to take $1,000 or whatever it is and go out and take a trip if I'm saving for a van. So if I'm saving, then that's really going to cut down on my travel budget. If I can car camp, then I can travel for low cost, and I can take advantage of my 6 weeks vacation time to do that. So I'm going to try to car camp. Now, I am in a bigger body. So not only am I'll use the word fat because it's just true. There's a lot of fat on my body. I'm not using it in a derogatory way to anyone in a bigger body, but I'm saying I'm in a bigger body, the size and the mass of me. Also, I'm tall. I'm almost 5'10". And so the thought of trying to sleep in a car is hard. I've already had some thoughts about this. I have ordered a couple products on Amazon, and I'm going to be thinking through, what do I need to do to be able to camp in my car? What are my priorities? What are my basic needs? And can I meet them if I'm in a car versus a van? And can I meet them not for months at a time, but just for, at the longest, maybe a couple of weeks at a time if I go out in January? And if I were going to camp in my car, I would probably do 2 weeks in January so that I can go to the RTR and the big tent show. And I would probably do, other than that, just smaller trips. There are many, many, many state parks and gorgeous things in Missouri and Oklahoma and Arkansas and northern Texas and Minnesota, like places that I could drive to in a day or so and stay a few days. So like smaller trips. I have always assumed I could not camp in a car because of my bigger body. But now I'll say desperate times call for desperate measures. It is the end of October. RTR is in a couple of months in mid-January. So I've got a little bit of time to figure this out. But I kind of want to know, and I want to be able to tell my friends if I'm going. I want to be able to figure it out. I want to be able to do at least one overnight trip to figure out if I can actually do it or not. And so I know that I can't car camp long term, but can I use it as a stopgap in between now and when I save enough to buy another van? We're going to see. That's what we're going to see. So let's take this one step at a time. To my people who've been with me a while, thank you. And you deserve a medal for sticking around. And if you tell me so in the comments, I'll give you a medal. And thank you so much. Thanks everyone on Patreon. I love you. And thank you for the support. I do have a Patreon. I'll put the link in the description every time. I think I will also start a new Amazon list of my products and stuff that I have, because a lot of it I put together a few years ago and those products aren't available, and I want to go through and update my list, and I also want to put on the car camping stuff that I am getting on that list as well, to help anyone who's thinking about it. I would also like to say I have the best followers. Like, everyone that I have that regularly follows the channel is just so loving and encouraging and supportive. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. I was away for months and I came back and I made a video, and I have been reading and answering comments from the months that I was gone. And I'm just hit again and again and again by all the love and all the support and everything that is out there for me. And that I appreciate so much, and that I send right back to you right now. And we just continue this kind of love fest that supports and encourages all of us to do what we can with what we have. Just start now. There's a famous quote from Arthur Ashe, right? The tennis player. Start where you are, start where you're at, use what you have, do what you can. I think that's it. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And so that's the car camping deal right now. So we are going to try it. Part of me just thinks about my 5'10" big frame in the back of the car on a, sleeping in the fetal position because there's not enough space to stretch out my legs. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it, because that is starting where we're at, doing what we can, using what we have. That's what we're going to do. Anyway, so that's it for me today. If you stayed till the end, you deserve a medal for sure. And I will send you one if you let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. Love you to my patrons. Love you to anyone who's watching. Sending all the good vibes, all the love, all the light and encouragement. I love you. I'll see you next time. I'm going to try to post a video every week. That's my goal. I'm not saying I'll never fall short, because I'm sure I probably will, but I really want to post every week, even if I don't feel like I have anything to say, but just for an update, because the journey's important. And I feel like to a certain extent, we're all in it together. And now that I've had the van life thing and now I'm working toward it again, I'm in the position that a lot of you are in, which is we want to do it and we don't have the means right now, but we're working for it. So let's all help and encourage each other and get there. Okay. Okay. So let's try this car thing. I don't know. I remain cautiously optimistic. Maybe. I wouldn't even call it optimistic, but desperate times, desperate measures, that whole thing. So anyway, see you soon. Bye.